Hi everyone, welcome to another paint with me. I really did want to get this video out before Valentine's Day, but life in the last week has been pretty hectic. A lot of spontaneous events happened, and I did have some dental surgery, which now, like, the left side of my jaw is super puffed up. Um, but yeah, so it's late, but I didn't want this footage to go to waste. And I mean, it is kind of like a Ghibli painting, so that seems to be on trend. Not that I meant to do that, but hopefully you'll enjoy the scenery of it. Um, I didn't even mean for it to be kind of like a Valentine's kind of painting, but my boyfriend always complains that I never paint him anything or make anything for him. And as you know, if you ask me to paint you something or make you something, it's going to take me about like 10 years to do it. So, yeah, here we are. I'm not even sure what made me think about painting No Face or even like a Ghibli kind of scene. If I go back to my sketchbook, I was sketching No Face. I honestly don't know how the thought came to me, but I was like, oh, what if I have No Face and instead of him carrying the bath tokens, he's carrying little hearts. Um, and I haven't even watched any of the Ghibli films. I think it was just that I was watching another artist's video and they were talking about how she was doing cloud studies, and she was using the Ghibli films. And so while I was sketching, I came up with that idea. Um, so yeah, I finally decided, okay, I will paint him something, and I think Ghibli is a good, safe bet. He really likes Spirited Away. I personally like Howl's Moving Castle more, but I mean, Spirited Away is still like close second. But so, wow, okay. Actually, we've been together about like 8 years, so I mean, it is close to that 10-year mark of when I will get back to you on whatever you ask me to make you. So I'm not off from that. This video is actually sped up, I think, two times, like two times the speed of what it was originally recorded, and I can see myself painting these clouds so slowly. I really like to try and get it to kind of look fluffed up. Um, but then, I don't know, when I looked at the cloud study, it it looked like it was washed out. Like it all was blended, yet it still was defined. I don't even know if that makes sense. Um, because I didn't really know how to layer the colors that I wanted. Um, I did use gouache again on this painting, because I really like that I can use it kind of as watercolor and then, build up the opacity if I needed to. So you'll kind of see me do that with the water where I kind of basically use it as watercolor. And then I go back in the second day to build up the colors so it doesn't just look like the paper is underneath it, because the top half, is very opaque, and I didn't want the bottom half to kind of mismatch that, especially when I go in with the black gouache for No Face. I didn't want it to kind of lose its place. But the cloud study also had like so many colors, from like the blues to the pinks to like a little bit of the orange and yellows. The cloud on the right, I wish I used more white because it just kind of looks like it's not part of the painting, but it's fun. But it was kind of funny because after I had painted this, he did mention that he wanted to watch a Ghibli film, and he hasn't watched Kiki's Delivery Service, and I've watched it, but I think so long ago that I can barely remember what even happens in the movie. He wanted to watch My Neighbor Totoro, but I kind of wanted to watch Kiki's, and my vote counts more than his, so we went with Kiki's. Um, we always do this really funny thing about like whenever we're watching anything, it's a movie or even like a TV show, especially when HBO makes TV shows series, it's kind of like you're watching a movie. Um, but we really like to go back and kind of point out our favorite scenes, but not just point it out. We kind of discuss why we like that scene the most. So, like in Kiki's Delivery Service, there's that scene where Kiki, she kind of loses her power and can't fly, yet when her friend is hanging by a rope, uh, how they use that silence to kind of just make the scene more dramatic. Like, even I'm holding my breath when I'm watching that scene because it's just like everyone's silent. Not that everyone's silent and not moving, like there's still movement, which I appreciate because it's like that woman there when she's like screaming, but you can't hear it because that's how they intended it to be when, you know, afterwards she can't really get to him, and he kind of falls, and that moment just I think is super elevated by the fact that they use that silence at that moment. um, but yeah, and then we also discussed like um, how we couldn't come up with the word about how Ghibli kind of it's almost like they're not romantic feelings, right? But you kind of feel them there. Um, it's like endearment, the affection that they have, and he doesn't explicitly say like these are just like a relationship, just like affection, and you can see that being played out. But I guess if we're on the topic of relationships, yeah, so my boyfriend and I have been together since like 2012, so back in college. Obviously, a lot of things could change, people change, and yet we're still here trugging along. I honestly don't know how that's happened. I think it's just that we're always open and honest with each other, communicating where we want to be, uh, and just kind of also discussing where we want to go. Um, when I was catching up with my high school running coach, he's like asked me all those like hard questions of like, oh, are you gonna move back to California? Are you guys going to have kids? Are you guys ever gonna get a house? And he was like impressed that I could have answers to them all, and I'm just like, well, I mean, yeah, I know we're not married, but these are discussions you should still have, especially if you're living with someone. And I'm not saying like it was easy. The first time we lived together was in a 2 bedroom apartment, and he, had his friend who was his roommate, and then there was me. I didn't have a job, and he had a job, so there was like that struggle dynamic, not knowing how to like who should pay and how much should the person pay, because obviously it's like 2021. I would want to pay my fair share of rent and everything like that. But also knowing that our pay grades aren't the same. Um, he's in software and I'm in engineering, and software still pays way more than what I get. So, you know, I have internal conflicts with society, which can sometimes kind of can manifest in my relationship. Um, but I think because we have that open communication of saying like, hey, this is how I feel, this is why I feel it. It's not like cookie cutter like that. I swear, it's there's both of us that are angry, um, and then we finally kind of, you know, um, you have to go through that anger first before you can kind of resolve it. Um, and I'm just saying that to you because I feel like so much of the time people make relationships out to be like, if it isn't easy, then you should just let it go. And I'm kind of here to tell you, like, there's gonna be parts where it isn't easy. It's just how you handle those parts. Um, how do you guys solve those kind of relationship issues? And sometimes it's not even in the relationship itself, it's kind of your own inward reflections. Um, I still struggle with a lot of kind of internal feelings, because I definitely don't know what I'm doing, and I don't really know who to go to know how I'm feeling. I think that comes a lot with being a first generation kid. I'm the first one to go to college. I'm the first one to kind of be in this industry, the first one to move away from home. When, if I look at even my cousins, and how they kind of reacted to people who left, kind of makes me question, like, am I doing the right thing by leaving and living so far away? But I guess that's too deep, but I'm not trying to make anyone feel sorry for me. There are things that I'm going through and things that, you know, I wish I could have therapy, but we have student loans that we're trying to pay off, which hopefully by the end of this year, I am hoping will be gone. Um, but yeah, relationships are hard and relationships are messy, but they're also pretty fun. And I really hate when people ask me, like, oh, when are you guys getting married? Or when are you guys going to have kids? Because honestly, I don't think it's anyone's business anymore. We've been together for so long, and we're living together, and we have 2 cats, and it's like, what more do you want? You want us to have this whole ceremony and a ring on my finger to prove it? Because every single day we're still showing up and saying, hey, we want to be in this relationship, and how can we be in this relationship? But I think one thing also that really helped us kind of understand who we are and what we want is that we took that 5 love languages kind of quiz. The 5 of them are quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So I personally rank as quality time number 1. Gifts for me are kind of dead last. I think because I think of gifts as you know, give a gift one time and that's basically it. I guess there's thoughtful gifts you can give, but I know my own kind of struggle on giving people gifts, especially because I don't want things anymore. I definitely don't want any more things. I have everything that I need. Um, and so when people give me gifts, it feels really awkward when it's like, I don't need this and I don't know if I need to keep it. Like, will I look like an asshole if well, will I look like a jerk if I, donate this or give this to someone else? And also, my tastes have changed. And also, when you tell someone, like, yeah, I like cats and my favorite color is purple, that's all they give you. They're going to give you purple, blah, purple this, cats with that. And then I'm just like, one of them was fine. Now I have 10 things that have cats or are purple. And I don't know what to do with that. So yeah. Yeah. I prefer no gifts. I know what I like and I can now have the means to get whatever I need/want. Um, my boyfriend though, and for any other ladies who have like gamer boyfriends, he loves playing games, so quality time can sometimes be in the back of his mind. And before that would like drive me crazy. And before we even knew what it is that we liked, what it is that filled our love tanks, that was like a source of like our pain point. Um, because I mean, I if you're working and we also kind of like have different times of where we're awake. So I'm a morning person, he's a night person. If I'm working all day and then he's, also commuting to work and then we're cooking dinner or sometimes we're working out, then it leaves like what, maybe 2 hours where we can probably chit chat with each other or 2 hours where we're doing our own thing. And usually I guess he's tired of talking to people is what he'll tell me, and then he goes and plays games with his friends and I'm just like, what? You just told me that you didn't want to interact with people. But I guess games are different. Don't know how, but yeah. So afterwards, now he knows what my love tank is, and now we have kind of a system. But now that I'm doing kind of like YouTube, my Etsy store, and just trying to draw more. Oh, also journaling. I find journaling to be very private, so I really like the days where we are saying no, we're not going to hang out. I really like having those moments to just journal. But yeah, after we had learned our love tanks, it was so much easier to kind of just communicate what it is that we needed from each other. But you also have to kind of give a push and pull. So I sometimes can't communicate my own feelings, or because I can't communicate my own feelings, it can be harder to give him the words of affirmation that he needs. But I'm getting a lot better at it. COVID kind of helped with that because we're like around each other all the time now, except for the times that I have to go into work. And also, just a disclaimer, I'm no relationship expert. I'm just like, telling you what it is that I think really helped us. Because I know if you yourself don't know what it is that you want from a relationship or kind of what makes you happy, then you don't know how to communicate that to your partner. And so you kind of have to look inward sometimes to be like, what do I want? It's okay if you don't know. My partner is super supportive of me and of me trying to find what it is that I want to do. But yeah. Also, this like no face Ghibli scene, it's not necessarily in the movie. I kind of grabbed a screenshot of one of the sunset scenes, and then I put in No Face in there. Um, in the beginning, I thought I would have him kind of when he was like outside of the bathhouse, but I was like, that looked kind of too sad to put him there. I have an idea of like maybe painting my cat in that scene because with our little kitten, he's always like running rampant, and anytime he sees her coming out just to get food or something, he'll kind of think that's an initiation to play, and she is not about that. So then she'll run back to her like little spot behind our plants, and she'll just sit there and she'll look so angry. So I was like, I'm gonna probably paint her like that because she just stalks right there. And you can only know that she's there because sometimes she'll kind of. Oh, what is it? It's like, like she'll do like these deep sighs of like, I'm just like, oh, I didn't even see you there because she's so quiet. And the way like that her fur is, it makes it look like she's always kind of moody and angry. And because we have a kitten that has so much energy, I always kind of think now that she's like a little old lady. So I think I'm gonna stop chatting now. I don't think I have any other comments about this painting. Um, except feel like I could have done better with those heart shapes. But at the end of the day, I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. I kind of went back to give it some more highlights in the water, and to kind of make the horizon more defined, because there was like no breaking point between them. But otherwise, yeah, I had so much fun just making this. I had like true crime in the background. I had other people's studio vlogs in the background, and then I think at one point when one of them stopped playing, I just had nothing. I had like no music playing, because I was just like so into trying to make these clouds appear how I wanted them to be. I definitely like the top left hand side of the clouds. That's like my favorite part.